Do you remember any of those creepy moments in your favorite childhood shows? You might think of Large Marge from Pee-wee, those dolls from Scooby-Doo, or just all of Mr. Meaty.
Warm me up. What the?
There was one show that was made of these moments for its 4-season run, and it did it perfectly. I'm talking about Courage the Cowardly Dog, a show I still immensely enjoy watching just as much, if not more, than I did as a kid. And there's one strong reason for that. The show is creepy as fuck. Like, what the? Courage was actually always intended to be a horror comedy by its creator, John R. Dilworth, who said he had an affinity for scaring his mother as a young child, and takes inspiration from works such as Looney Tunes, Salvador Dali, and even Ghost in the Shell.
Of course, we loved her and all. We didn't want her to have a heart attack, but there's something just amazing to pop out behind a sofa in a dark room just as somebody's coming home from work. You know, life is so terrifying. I guess the only way to survive, you have to be as scary as it is.
I've been intrigued with Dilworth's work across his career, a fan of his knack for the experimental and surreal, with his first film, Limited Bird, showcasing a reality fleshed out by human-animal hybrid sketches, drawing your attention in the most unsettling yet fascinating way. A similar feeling I get when looking at a Dali piece. His 2005 short, Life in Transition, is also remarkable in this field, being an entirely visual and almost psychedelic depiction of life from beginning to end. Our first taste of Courage was in his 1994 short, Smart Talk with Raisin, that featured a magician dog with a similar design to Courage. Sort of. But it wasn't until his Oscar-nominated short, The Chicken from Outer Space, where a charming purple dog would grab the attention of an audience, and most importantly, Hanna-Barbera Studios, who would eventually debut the short February 12, 1996 on the What a Cartoon Show, on, of course, Cartoon Network. The pilot features what would be our main trio. Muriel, the sweet Scottish owner of Courage, who usually acts as a damsel in distress. She's honestly pretty adorable, but not really bright. This is pretty obvious because she's married to Eustace, the abusive and grumpy owner, who usually only enjoys his newspaper, television, and torment of Courage.
Stupid dog! You made me look bad!
Despite being a farmer, well, yeah. Here's a fun fact. Eustace and Muriel are actually named after Ross and Chandler's middle name from Friends. And of course the main protagonist, Courage, our favorite selfless dog who, despite being easily frightened, will stop at nothing to save his owners, even Eustace. Together, they live in the middle of nowhere, and in this debut, Courage encounters a UFO run by a space chicken, visually inspired by the penguin from Wallace and Gromit. The chicken eggs are fried and eaten by Eustace, causing his transformation into a giant berserk chicken. There's a fun negotiation for Eustace's life essentially. These guys are playing checkers, arm wrestling. They even played that hand slap game, you know, the one you played in middle school probably. The Looney Tunes inspiration. The chicken takes a fat loss to my man Courage. The chicken pulls out a laser, but Courage dodges just in time. And this is perhaps the happiest ending to any Courage episode. Eustace dies, and we can lament the poor old farmer. This episode is definitely a fun attention grabber, and almost 4 years later, Courage would become a full series. These bizarre stories are what Courage pulls off so well, not with full-out slapstick, although there is plenty of that, but with an application of certain qualities of surrealist cinema. To back up a little, surrealism in cinema was a movement in the 20s, which began to incorporate irrational and shocking qualities of the subconscious into how stories were told, giving birth to many groundbreaking films and a lot of iconic imagery. Courage fits into what I think is the specific mold of surrealism, which I attribute to the brilliantly bizarre David Lynch. I actually like to think of Courage as Looney Tunes and Lynch packaged into Seanut Brittle. Both have crafted haunting worlds that stylistically branch away from conventional cinema. Lynch is practically an adjective in the art house world. Unlike its laugh-out-loud, colorful contemporaries, Courage has a consistent feeling of unease that is blended well with its more comedic side. It's horror comedy perfect for the family and something that pushes the bounds of its TV Y7 rating. So let's take a look at this style, which has made Courage the Cowardly Dog one of my favorite shows, and an instant addiction ever since I began watching it again. One of the first things I notice is how incredibly isolating the show feels. The way characters are framed in mostly quiet environments, met with an ambient humming tone, and usually little energy to each shot. I mean, just listen. The silence, it's unnatural, and in a way it forces us to engage. Something consistent in Lynch's style. There is also something unnatural to interaction, a disconnect to say. Dialogue not being utilized as much as other cartoons. I think of the odd meeting at a girlfriend's house in Eraserhead, the scene being more based on subtext and strange circumstances than actual dialogue, created by the unnatural interaction among the characters. The two owners of Courage add to this feeling. Eustace, who is obviously just flat out abusive and actually considered an antagonist, but even Muriel, who although is kind-hearted and sweet, is often oblivious to Courage and feels quite negligent to both Courage and her own situation. Courage is very much on his own most of the time, and anyone outside is in every way designed to be a strange, cold enigma. Surrealism began as a visual medium in fine art, and those reality-bending images take a huge part of cinema and animation. In Courage, it comes in the form of many characters who aren't the most huggable. Everyone seems to want to kill you, just by their look alone. Take note of their eyes. They're just never nice. Usually angered, the sheep have red eyes, eyelids are half closed, they're slanted, or just completely obscured, or just crazy. Interestingly though, Dilworth was very much a fan of mixed media, which can be seen not only in the beautifully designed backgrounds, but the many odd visuals and characters, including the live-action Thanos-looking tree, the nightmarish black metal face, or the CG King Ramsey. Lynch was no stranger to distinct design, the way certain actors would portray their characters, certain makeup choices, or whatever this is. And all these designs are meant to be memorable in their own style, and due to how distinct they are, they're immediately off-putting. I mentioned hostility, right? Like chill. These character designs are matched with cold cruelty, never displaying any level of compassion. Take the reoccurring Asian guy, he's always nonchalant and insulting, or the casual murder instincts of a beaver, or even the creepiness of someone you just want directions from. That complete cold disregard for our protagonist and anyone else makes them deeply unsettling. Hell, even the lobsters are mean.
You're such a lousy typist.
The computer too? Something iconic to Lynchian style are characters who display strange, ambiguous, and often unexplained behavior. It puts us on edge despite there not necessarily being any real danger. Like these old guys from Mulholland Drive. Jeez. Like, I'm not saying old people are creepy. It's unexplained, unnatural, ambiguous. It's uncanny. The line between danger and safety by something that resembles human qualities but isn't quite there, and that instinctively creates an unsettling feeling. These are the characters that embody the world and become what is normal, and because of that, it gives us the feeling of constant unease. It's a world where anything can happen, similar to the illogical structure of dreams. It's somewhere we don't necessarily belong, and anything or anyone could be lurking right behind the corner. I'm not gonna do that to you. I remember that diner scene, man. Oh yeah, and I remember Freaky Fred, a memorable example of an oddball character. He's pretty cool. Freaky Fred is Muriel's nephew who has an obsessive compulsion for cutting hair. He narrates in rhyme the whole episode with the pattern of 3 rhymed sentences and a 4th ending in naughty. And in the episode, only Courage is scared of him. Though technically he's not very dangerous, his exaggerated constant smile, distinct speaking style, and oh yeah, his hair cutting thing. Although I like a man of passion, it's all, off. The creepiest part of this episode for me are Fred's flashbacks, done in this really innocent children's book style. You have Fred's old pet and past girlfriend who have all been violated by Fred. This episode is just really fun, especially if you're a Dr. Seuss fan, but one of Courage's creepiest episodes, and most Lynchian for me, and honestly one of my favorites, is The Mask. The episode is about a strange masked figure who has a strong hostility towards Courage. Like, chill. Goddamn, chill. She's a cat named Kitty, who is a strong aversion to all dogs, as her rabbit friend, Bunny, is stuck in an abusive relationship with one. That doesn't sound too child-friendly though, right? I mean, yeah, I guess it's not. And honestly, it probably wouldn't air today. Courage as a show might not even be able to air. And I swear, the scene where Courage encounters Bunny and Mad Dog to rescue her is straight out of a David Lynch film. The ambient red lighting in a dirty and seedy room, that jagged piano, the threatening and unnatural dialogue from the characters, a scary, threatening yet unpredictable villain, and a just as enigmatic victim. All while the protagonist is utterly alone and defenseless. Well, mostly. Whoa, alright Courage. Upon saving Bunny, a terrifying Mad Dog goes after Courage, putting him in genuine danger. After a deadly chase, Mad Dog ends up in the front of a train, probably dead. This episode has touched on toxic relationships and discrimination, with Kitty concluding that not all dogs are the same after having a positive experience with Courage. Shit was a bit harsh though. I read somewhere that this episode brewed some controversy over lesbianism among angry moms. I don't know if that's true, but it's definitely one of my favorite episodes and one that left me feeling a little bit icky, despite its good ending, and that's all because of its horror-like style. Courage doesn't always end happily. In fact, I would say it never really does relative to other cartoons where characters come to a resolution and get together for a hug, but nah, come on, we're too edgy for that. And in an episode such as The Great Fusili with the talking alligator who promises money to Eustace and Muriel for participating in his play, he immediately sets off many red flags in his opening few seconds. His behavior, the music that accompanies him, but everyone seems to accept him. The creepy revelation is when Courage finds a room full of puppets, all who were once human, and there's room right for the three of them. Courage does win in the end after Fusili mistakes him for a phantom and becomes a puppet himself. Unfortunately, Muriel and Eustace also end up as puppets. It's not the resolution we wanted, similar to how Lynch utilizes expectations in his films, most notably Mulholland Drive, in a way that is meant to unsettle you. Another one of my favorite episodes is The Big Stinkin' City, and I think it's one of the best in putting Courage in a completely foreign environment. So what happens? Muriel wins his contest to perform at Radio City Music, and the first thing is meeting this guy again.
Watch where you're going!
And of course, everyone's pretty chill meeting a giant cockroach, a character who threatens Muriel's life, which allows him to send Courage to the unknown and dangerous city to receive a package, setting the fearful fish out of water sequence. And there's one thing that I remember in this show, very clearly. Damn it, Dilworth. But wait, you think that was scary? There was something worse.
Wednesday nights, CN Real, only on...
There is something behind every door. I think that's a good metaphor for Lynch. We are expecting anything unexpected to happen, anything at all, cause anything can happen. Whether it's the clues to a mystery in Blue Velvet, or just a family of bunnies going through casual conversation, or just smiling old people, or just old people looking. I also want to mention the cop in the episode, who despite being a good guy, has pretty much no comforting quality, except when he turns into a puppy for a donut, you know, playing the stereotypes. Also notable is the audience towards the end. It's a good example of sustaining isolation, because we don't see them, no face or anything. It's really no different than the recording, similar to the ones in the episode The Great Fusili. To us, it's still an empty world. Do you feel that nothingness? Anyone? No? Just me? And I have to talk about this thing, this blue fetus, damn it Dilworth, from the episode Perfect, which spawns this perfectionist lady who to me is absolutely terrifying because of how real she feels. We all had teachers or parents who we were terrified of messing up in front of. This woman just embodies all of them, and unfortunately only Courage can see her. She's so scary that fetuses start talking to Courage in his sleep. To add even more surrealism, some fish in a toilet tells us the message: no one is perfect. See, Courage is a good educational show for your kids. So all you parents out there, I'm telling you, your kids should watch Courage. Hell, your kids should watch David Lynch movies. I mean,
Baby wants to fuck.
why not? Anyway, the only way to defeat the perfectionist is to be so imperfect that she melts, which is no problem for me. You know, it's not so scary after a while. It's kinda cute actually. Damn it, Dilworth. So, man, it was really nostalgic and entertaining to go through episodes of Courage. Dilworth has really created a remarkable legacy that's developed a strong cult following. It's a good intro to surrealist horror for kids, especially David Lynch's work, who I have paralleled with the cartoon. We're put into this unpredictable, isolated environment, inhabited by even more unpredictable and hostile characters, filled with imagery made of nightmares, and it just keeps me coming back. Dreamlike is a good word to describe it. Spontaneous and illogical, kind of creepy, but beautiful. The same feeling I get when I look at a Salvador Dali piece. And honestly, there's not really another cartoon like it. And hey, we can all learn something from the show. Courage is about always getting up, fighting despite of fear, to save what he loves most. That's what courage really is. Alright, that was kinda cheesy, but I needed a happy conclusion. But you know what would make me happy? If you subscribed. If you enjoy my content, leave a like, subscribe, share my video. You could leave a suggestion for me. I always appreciate comments. If you don't, well, I just want to thank you for watching anyway, and always remember, have a cloudy good day.